We're not just trying to get it to sound good. There's a million ways we can make it sound good. Like, where do we want to go with it emotionally? What memories, what other music do we want to kind of invoke? Because that's going to dictate every little decision, really, rather than just like, let's get it to sound better. It's like, what's better? So all I've done so far is pulled in the tracks and just organized them, because I mean, that's not the most interesting thing to sit here and watch me do. So the first thing I'm going to do is send all of these to our kind of main drum bus. We'll use summing stacks. This can be drums. And then we can just put all these in one big color. Bass, we've got 2 channels, but it looks like it's just kind of split between verses and choruses. Then we've got our lead vocals with a couple of kind of like doubles and that kind of stuff. BVs, we've got a reasonable amount. I'm used to getting like 50 BV channels from these guys. So here we've got acoustics. I think we can put all of the electrics together. And then I think this is like just our 2 keys. So right now all of these are going to the mix bus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab everything with the lead vocal, create a new output, which can be 30, and that's instruments. Then our lead vocals will send to 31, Vox, and then we'll make sure these are both going to our mix bus. So now we've prepped everything, channels are in the right order. I'm gonna open up all the folders, highlight all my regions. That will highlight all of the individual channels, but not the groups. It makes it really easy to pull everything down. And you can see it's like pull down all of our individual channels, but not pull down our groups. If we're on a desk, we've pulled down all the faders, we're ready to start mixing. I didn't catch that subgroup, that's a little bit hot, so we'll do that as well. So we've got like kick snare, and then I'm guessing this like side stick part. Okay, so let's grab those toms. Okay, and this one. Just grab this hit quickly. And then we'll bring in a bass.
Matches in a box.
Nice.
Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and holding my sweater. Chewing on a curve like a real cutter. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Is what nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater is what it is, just what it is. the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is.
Okay, so we've got all the faders up. What I'm going to start doing now is getting into processing. And again, workflow here, I'm just going to go through kind of the most important elements. So this is where I am going to be a bit more intentional about like what order. And basically just going to go kick, snare, vocal pretty much. And then like everything else. The bass is already sounding pretty good. You know, maybe you could go kick, snare, bass, vocals, like whatever, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I try, especially if I'm like teaching, I try and be a little bit more structured about it. Like let's go through and like do our EQ and solve our problems. Then let's go through and do our compression. But the reality is like to get the kick sound, it's going to be both. So I don't think we can kind of like isolate it that much. So instead we'll just go through kind of instrument by instrument to be a bit more structured about it. Starting with our kick. That drum bass for a bit high. Let's go. So I really like using the 4KE for like kicks and snares because that's just like classic CLA kind of drum sound. And we can check our references here because we haven't listened in a while, and I'm listening on the 8Cs, which are the monitors I have at home. So that really helps. Like I know how they sound, but we're in a new room still. So I'm probably going to reference more than I would at home. Like if I'm at home in my room, I listen to music in there all day, every day. Like it's, I have just kind of a more intuitive sense of how things should sound. Here, I'm gonna like probably reference a little bit more. So let's just do another quick kind of like palette cleanse to get a sense of where we're at. And we can focus on the drum specifically. So we're like pretty bright already. So let's focus on the kick though. I just hear like a lot more click. Yeah. We've got quite like a round drum kick sound. And this is probably just going to be a balancing thing. So we can probably just bring down our kick out.
Last week was the worst week ever.
hearing a little bit too much around here, although actually we'll go.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst.
It's just the classic kind of like woofiness is what we've got quite a lot of. But we don't want to go like, this isn't a metal track, like we don't want to go too far. But yeah, you can see there I was just kind of sweeping around to find something that sounded nice in the top end for the beta. But on something like this, I mean, it's pretty broad even in bell mode. So even up here, like the tail off of the slope is going to be going pretty low. This is where we can also add some saturation. Let's just get some compression going as well. So this is without the, all we're actually doing is the channel strip on this. So this is without, with. It's not super aggressive. I'm normally way more aggressive with kicks. I don't know if it was like already EQ'd on the way in, but it sounds good already. We can check our references again. We cut through a little bit more. Again, it's not something where we're looking for like this huge kick. We're actually treating it as like part of the drum kit rather than like its own thing that takes up loads of space like you would expect in like a dance track. So I think it could do with maybe a bit more of a boost. We're not compressing it a ton here. So we could add a bit more compression and then use the...
Oh, look at that compressor. Who makes that?
All right, it's cute.
We can use this saturation to kind of blend it in a bit. So that should help it cut through a bit more. We've just got like a tiny bit of saturation. Something else we can do is just saturate the highs, because that was starting to break up the transient. So, I actually prefer it without, and I think we need to use Saturn to just saturate the highs, so that we're not breaking up that transient. So we can turn off drive on the low end, and then we can saturate the top end to kind of help it cut through. That'll help it cut through on like phones and small speakers and that kind of stuff as well, but also just like cut through the mix. We're still gonna smear our transient because that's where a lot of our click is.
Last week was the
And then we can also focus on the low end. So in the references, a lot of the low end is coming from the bass, I think. Let's have a listen. You can hear both, right? They're both in there, but it's not like a dance track where it's just like,
I hear the bass more.
yeah, it's not like tons of kick. And the way to think about it is like dance music is kind of intermittent low end. It's like that's what makes you want to dance. Whereas like a lot of rock is just this kind of like constant thickness that's coming from the bass, and then the kick is just kind of cutting through that. So again, this is actually pretty tame for a kick EQ. Normally I find myself boosting like 50 hertz or something like that, but I'm not sure we need to. Like if we A/B'd, and this is like helpful to do if you want to just like zoom in a layer. If anything, we could bring up the bass.
Yeah.
And this is saying we're like quite a bit over, like 5 dBs above, if we compare to something else. It's weird because I can't hear that.
It's really low stuff, I think,
Yeah.
that you can't hear. Just means we need to clean up some of like
Yeah.
everything up to like 30,
Kick on the
35.
bass. And we might hear it on the Osbergers. That's kick.
Oh yeah.
So we've got some super low end energy there. That will also help our kick cut through if we clean that up a bit. And I think I'm going to do this in Pro Q for like a little bit more precision. And we could do this as either like a really aggressive high pass, but we could probably do some shelving as well. Let's just do a low shelf. See, that feels like too much. What I'm hearing is kind of different to what I'm seeing in reference. It could be something to do with the room, but that feels like we're taking out too much.
Who's gonna make it worse? Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed,
Cool, that's fine. We can like revisit that a bit more. So this is with none of our kick processing.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the.
Cool. So we've been doing that for a while, so we'll come back to that. You
It's nice.
know. And now we can work on our snare. Again, we're not going for that like super bright sound. Like the artist reference is not that. Caleb has told me it's not that. So that's a pretty good indicator that it's not that. So if anything, we're still a bit bright. So we'll do the same thing here, 4KE.
Nothing I say is gonna make it.
So I think this is going to mostly come from like saturation. We could try a bit crushing it a little bit. Too bright.
Yeah, you could do the dark version of that.
Yeah, which I think
I would
will
love
be.
That's the sound.
Like that, yeah. I'm going to put this first, just to get a bit more compression. But then we can also use this tone knob. What a handy feature. We could try saturation as well. It's a bit too bright. Yeah, it's weird because it's not a snare sound that I'm used to or would usually go for.
Yeah, dark and just really pumpy and
Dirty.
kind of nasty.
Yeah, okay.
Like one of the things we were thinking about is like, where do we want the high end to come from? And the high end of the snare and the high end of the tambo are going to be competing on some level. So if they're playing together, which one do we want the sound of? And we went with the tambo. So a lot of the brightness would come from the tambo. And we had the snare like super like the tail on it, we transient shape to like make no tail, and all the tail was coming from the tambourine. So it's essentially like the top of our snares, the tambo.
We've got a lot of tail in the room though.
True.
Yeah, let's try. Still does need.
Now we're getting somewhere. Love it.
Yeah, that sounds so boring now in comparison, doesn't it? That's just a snare. This is a
That's
whole
an
other
experience.
There's nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hold of my setter. It's what it is, just what it is.
I like to do reverb on the snare as well, even though like the majority of my reverb I'm going to do much later. It's just such an integral part of the snare sound that you can't get it right without it.
Good old Valhalla.
So that was just getting really bright with that ride. I mean, we could automate it, but we don't.
It's too bright.
We're not trying to add brightness to the snare either.
No.
But we want to get like the vibe of it. Just washy as hell. Just cleans it up.
It's much better.
Better, it's what it is, just what it is. Ever, nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I hold my setter.
Yeah.
It's what it is, just
It's coming along.
what it is. Ever, nothing I change.
Cool. We might come back and refine
Sounded
some
nasty
of
and lovely.
that. Any questions about snare before we move on? We've got about half an hour before lunch, so we'll just keep going. Bass or vocals next. The bass, I mean, it's sounding pretty good already. I don't think it.
I thought we had the bass a little too clean. I think we could probably go dirtier with that.
This bass is like just soaking up all the saturation. It's like maxed.
Oh wow. Is this the right channel?
Yeah, it's doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we could try. like way more mid-range centric though. Let's see if that works.
What it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what
There are just some notes that are way louder. He's either playing them, you can see it on the game production,
ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart.
and then suddenly it drops down to 0.
Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my
Huh?
Are you clipping it or limiting?
No,
it?
limiting.
Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever,
I could do a gain staging it up because it's like
ever,
super low. We're at like minus 24, but so we're like right on the limit of the limit.
I think that amp might have added some of the bottom back.
Yeah, we can check that.
ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is.
Still poking out at certain points. Let's gain it up a little bit. We could actually just turn it up here. Yep.
Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater.
That's better. It's just like pinning it into place, basically. This is with, and then this is without. You can actually hear what it's playing, which as a bassist, I'm not used to. Cool, let's do some vocal stuff and then it'll be lunchtime. What are you guys hearing on the lead vocal before I do this? Let's listen to it a little bit.
Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse over my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Ever nothing I change gonna put this curse.
I also hear like a little inconsistency, like it's like a little quiet at first, and then he gets a little bit louder.
Consistency is up way off. Low end is way off. Low mids are,
It's super muddy.
super muddy. I think his voice is like, I want that whininess that is in the emo thing, but I don't want it so whiny. So some of that distortion and mid-fying that we can do will maybe make that cool instead of annoying.
It's kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, like get it clean and then dirty it up. I think we need to like clean up the lower mids, but then add some warm saturation, which will be kind of like this weird like push and pull that we'll have to manage. Like we're not looking for a super bright vocal, but that muddiness is also clouding like the intelligibility of the words. It's getting in the way of just like hearing him, basically.
And those are totally raw. I don't think we processed those at all.
Right. And that was like, what mic was it?
It was the 251.
Into
into
1073.
1073 into
CL1B.
this. Yeah.
Cool. So like pretty standard. So yeah, first I think we can clean.
Yep.
I like using dynamic EQ for vocals. We should be able to find this pretty easily, but I think it's around 200.
That chain's gonna hold my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater.
So we've also got double tracks. What was the intent with those, left and right? Or?
No.
Cool, that's what I thought.
Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater.
I'm also gonna compress this first. Things tend to get a lot more wild when you start saturating, so cleaner going into it is gonna help that versus like trying to tame things after. It can get kind of crazy. So I think compress, and then I think we will DS first going into the saturation. We might even then want some de-essing after as well. But for now, let's just do like a classic kind of LA2A vibe. And maybe like we could always go like a slightly harder knee.
Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. Worst week ever,
Yeah, I'm just listening to the difference between those two in volume. And like if we're doing like an LA2A, it tends to be like a softer knee, low ratio, but we can make this a little bit more aggressive to really pull it into line, because it is very dynamic. So yeah, let's just keep playing around with that.
nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater.
Something we could even do is this first instance, we could go for like more of a VCA type thing, like a little bit of look ahead and a fast attack, fast release. So we're like really clamping down on the loud parts and even like a bit of limiting. And then catch those really loud transients. And then in the next one, do like kind of a more constant kind of LA2A, bring out the punch type compressor.
It's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is. Worst week ever, nothing that chain's gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just what it is.
So we're just kind of more periodically grabbing those really loud parts, obviously then applying makeup gain to bring everything else up. Then we can load up another instance.
Worst week I change, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. First week ever, nothing I change, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. First week ever, nothing I change, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a
I think that's doing a better job of it.
ever, nothing. First week ever, nothing
It's like that ever, you can really hear it. So with that,
ever, nothing.
it's like the end of the word pokes out more. He must have moved forward.
Yeah, might have.
And there's lots of little bits like that. I mean, this is where like vocalists are all very different, but with something like this, they're getting into it. So we just, you know, it's better that they have a good performance and they're like jumping around a bit. It just is a bit more challenging. I could sit here and spend an hour doing it and you guys could watch me.
I would just do some like really fast, big stuff, like not
Yeah.
the really detailed stuff.
And
but
we'll-
I think there's some transients in there. You'd be like, oh, this one, this one, this one, this
Yeah.
one, and then the compressor would respond a lot better.
We'll do as much as we can with compression and then we'll go through, that can be like a finishing touches kind of thing. It's like go through and grab the parts that are still too loud.
The way we're going to start teaching that, by the way, is doing like big picture macro kind of gain automation stuff, and then processing the vocal, and then doing fine detail work after that, which is like slightly different than the way we teach it now.
So let's de-ess it a bit now as well.
Yeah, it was so sibilant. He was in the zone, and I was only going like trying to get the vibe out of him. I wasn't super worried about technique and S's and stuff, but I wish I'd have stopped and tilted the mic down to his chest 10 degrees or something, because it was pretty sibilant. Yeah, if you tilt it up, you're going to get more of this stuff, and if you tilt it down, you're going to get more of the warm chest stuff.
Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I
That
changed.
phrase is last week was the worst week. It's like, there's lots of,
Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing.
so many all at once.
So many.
Last week was the worst week ever. Last week was the worst week ever. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing.
It's also kind of helping it sound just more consistent in general, because those S's are poking out, not just in terms of like sibilance, but also just kind of the overall dynamic.
And from the other direction, gain automation is a really powerful tool for S's that you can't figure out with the de-esser.
Totally. Okay, let's start playing around with saturation, because it's going to change the whole tone anyway when we start blending this in.
Is what it is, just what it is. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change, gonna.
It's crazy that Punish is helping. I thought Punish was helping.
Yeah?
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change, gonna break this curse. Hold my heart and hold my sweater. It's what it is. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and hold my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is.
Maybe a little less mix.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the
I'm going to try a couple more, like, because with this kind of stuff, like, just different plugins sound very different, and it's often a case of just trying a bunch of stuff.
I'm wondering if the S's in the top end, the variability is messing with the is messing with the saturation too much. Still,
Maybe.
even though we have de-essed
I mean, we
it,
could, like-
but we could like soothe. What if you soothed it beforehand
We could
as
try.
well?
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is.
Let's try warm tape.
Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is.
It's nice.
Cool. And then let's just go to our.
It's gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Your body, four eyes. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse.
So I'm looking for a space where the BVs can kind of live. Like we have the same thing where there's quite a lot of mud to clean up.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna.
And also he's just singing quite low register, so we need to just like give it some.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do.
We don't want to go super high end because we're not looking for much super high end in this at all. And also if we are going to do that, it's probably going to be on the lead vocal. This seems to just work, just like kind of moving around, seeing where it kind of fits quite naturally.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse.
Just brings it out, makes it.
Like a real go-getter. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my
We'll find some of these like I guess you could call them resonances, or just kind of like blah frequencies on the guitars. I'm just listening for where like the volume goes up, and I was kind of hearing that anyway, just like a fizziness. There's also something here-ish. I think I do with like just a broader cut there. But that's where we need to be careful, because in solo it might not sound great, but in the context of the mix, that could be where they're
That's
like
where all the life
sitting and
lives.
yeah, adding a lot of energy.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter.
Yeah, we need to be careful because this is where all their energy is.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is.
So I'm trying to get like add more bite and energy while also taking away some of that like brittleness, which is tricky because they're like really close to each other. So doing one kind of counteracts the other. If we solo that. It's a bit too much still. Try something a bit smoother, like Pultec. Anything like Pultec's traditionally used for like the top end and the low end, but for mid-range as well, for just anything that's more like tonal and you want it, it's not like precise, like let's get this resonance, but instead it's just kind of shaping things a little bit. I really like it as well, the mid-range. So we can just have a little play around with this basically.
Make it better, nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Your body, nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Your body in the ground. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed. Curse, holding my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hole in my sweater.
That the pick on the acoustic's coming out quite a lot. We could try a little bit of, we could do like fast compression, but yeah, let's try that first actually. And then if not, we could do some transient shaping. So that was just like poking out a bit too much. If we go like fast compression, it needs a little bit of leveling out anyway, and fast release, we might be able to just grab that initial attack.
Horrible resonance in there.
It's in the key.
Beautiful.
Soothing. I wonder what we should call this plugin.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is.
Tricky because it is just now purely strum. We've like got rid of the
A lot of
notes,
guitars are like
basically.
that though. Like if you listen to songs, it's amazing how they're basically a percussion element.
I think some mix bus compression could help as well. Just pull everything in a little bit.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is.
So when it comes to mix bus compression, a couple of things. Just looking to give it more depth. People talk about glue a lot when it comes to mix bus compression, and I think that definitely applies, but for me, I hear it more so as depth, if anything, especially with this, because there's a little bit of saturation. So it's also like we're adding mix bus compression, we're also kind of adding our like tape emulation at the same time. And then high pass filter makes a huge difference. Like leaving it so that it's just at 20, we get the kick drum pushing the mix bus compressor down. If we bring that up to like 100, we don't. And the sound between the two is like very different to me. It's just a different feel. So have a listen, I'll flick back and forth between the two.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's bringing the upper mid-range forward when we ignore that kick.
Yeah.
It's a different feel. So I hear it as like with the high pass filter, it's more upper mid-range forwards, more energy. Without the high pass filter, it does have more like movement to it because the kick is like pumping it in and out. So dum, dum, like every time that comes in, it is adding like a rhythmic feel to it.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter.
But it also highlights the kick, and this is the interesting thing that it took me some time to wrap my head around, because technically when we don't have that high pass filter, it's compressing the kick because it can hear it. So the kick comes in, it's clamping down. So you would think that would have the effect of making the kick sound quieter, but it actually has the effect of making the kick sound louder, because it's like in that moment when it pushes the whole mix down based on the kick, it's like the kick is kind of sucking everything in with it, and it just highlights it even more so. So even though it's like clamping down on the kick, which should make it quieter, it's pulling the focus to the kick is the way I think of it. So it is really interesting. It's like, do we want a kick-centric mix? Maybe if it's like dance music. I mean, think about it, like this to the extreme is just like a side chain. Like when you have a side chain pumping, and you side chain like literally everything, all your synths to the kick. That's basically like the radical version of this. So in a small sense, like we have to consider that when we're applying mix bus compression. In this case, I think high pass filter, this is not a kick-centric mix. If anything, like, we want to bury the kick a little bit. It's, again, like I was saying, in this case, it's actually part of the drum kit rather than its own thing that's like overpowering everything else. And I like the energy that that's adding.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever.
So there, it's actually a little bit quieter, which I like. If anything, I like it to be a little bit quieter so that I know when I bring it in, if I still prefer it, even though it's quieter, like I definitely haven't tricked my ears. Most plugins, you bring them in and it gets louder, and it tricks you into thinking it's better when it's just louder. Let's start getting some reverb on stuff. There's still like a bunch of like tonal issues, and it just needs kind of nudging in the right direction, but we'll get the space and kind of get everything else done, and then when it comes back to like have a break, come back, have a listen, that's where we can start to like pick up any last remaining problems. But now let's do our reverb. So we've already got a reverb on the snare, and we went with Valhalla. I don't think we want to go super spacey. Like the reference, the demo is actually, that's pretty spacey. Huh?
Like super roomy.
Yeah. And we already have like, so let's see, we've got like the Ocean Way on the acoustic. So we've already got our acoustic reverb.
Nothing I say is gonna make like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the
Let's try, so I'm just gonna go for like a global reverb, then we'll do a separate space on the lead vocals, separate space on the snare that we already have. We've already got a dedicated space for the acoustic guitar, so it's not like we need 4 new reverb buses. I think one will be enough for kind of like anything that is still like fully dry, like the electrics, for example. So we could just add a new bus there. And we can just call it reverb because it's basically going to be our only one. Let's go for something like that. And just a quick, easy way I like to dial in reverb is even just put it on the whole mix, just to get like the right kind of sound, the right space. Like try some different reverbs, kind of like with the saturation. Like we could load up one and play around with it, but we're going to be kind of constrained to like the tone that one plugin is capable of, versus just like try a bunch of different ones. And I have like different reverbs. I'll try like the Seventh Heaven, the Lexicon, like the Valhalla Room, Valhalla Vintage Verb. Maybe we could try like Verb Suites from Slate Digital, and just see if anything just like out of the box just sits really nicely. So yeah, we can just have a little play around with it.
nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it.
It's already pretty cool. It's a bit long. Let's try like a room.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is.
It's already pretty cool. We could compare that to Valhalla Room.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go.
It doesn't have the same kind of shine to it. I really like the Lexicon. We could also try Vintage Verb. We've already got that on the snare.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I say is gonna make it better.
A bit too thick. Let's just keep the Lexicon. So then we need to remember to turn that off. And now we can just kind of get everything into that space. And we can even try putting the lead vocal there, and then like a tiny bit, and then put a plate on there. We can just kind of experiment.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I.
We've already got Ocean Way. And going back to the topic of depth, reverb, delays is a big part of that. The more reverb we add, the more space we add, the further it's going to push things back. That's why quite often in pop production, that kind of stuff, the vocal's like super dry and in your face, maybe delays instead of reverb. Anything, putting reverb on anything is going to make it sound like it's further away. Probably in the most kind of intuitive sense, right? Like when we talk about transients and front to back depth, it's a little bit more like you kind of have to think about how does that work. Whereas reverb, it's like literally if you're standing in a room and someone moves further away, just like you can hear more of the room compared to them.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do.
So let's go here where we've got quite a lot of BVs.
Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Is what it is. Just
Still find myself wanting more top end on those.
last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Is what it is. Just what. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and holding my sweater. Is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break.
Cool. And then let's just go to our Drums. We haven't actually done anything on the bus.
It's just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is. Just what it is. Just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is. Just what it is. Just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse.
So same thing as the mix bus. If we want to bring the kick forward, we can have no high pass filter. Just kind of opening it up a bit. And then, yeah, maybe some saturation too. I want to be careful with the clipper so that we're not getting like audible distortion.
Change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. Is what it is.
Just sounds a bit more controlled, and you know, we've freed up a little bit of headroom, glued it all together a bit. I don't think we need to do any kind of like crazy parallel drum stuff. We already have the drum, like the room drum bus that's really heavily compressed, and we're not going for like huge, really fat drums. Yeah, let's get back to our reverbs.
This is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. Is what it is. Just what it is. Just what it is.
So let's have a listen to that reverb. If we go to like a section that's a bit emptier, we'll be able to hear it more clearly.
Four eyes, sentimental, deep.
Too empty.
You ask me, nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make
Or
it.
just mute it and just listen, and then bring it back in, and just listen for like how it impacts the depth, because this isn't meant to be like big noticeable reverb. Well, I mean, that is part of the intent. We might want to ramp it up if anything. But for now, it's just kind of adding depth, adding that sense of kind of like 3 dimensions, but in a way that's pretty subtle.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was
And we haven't done the vocals yet. That's where it's going to be the most noticeable. The demo is pretty spacey.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it. Women on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is.
Especially on the snare.
Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week. That change gonna break this. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna.
We'll get going on the vocal as well, and then we can kind of fine tune. So for the vocal, I'm just going to put it straight on there because we won't want to put it anywhere else. It's just easier than setting up a whole new channel that we then have clogging up space. Let's try a plate. Let's try Verb Suites. I haven't used it a ton, but I'm gonna have a little play around.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and holding my sweater. This is what it is, just what it is.
That LCD panel right in the middle by the big knob, it'll open up down below and show you, click that and it gives you a bunch of options. You can click plates, like type over there.
Oh, cool.
For plates on the left, you have type. And yep.
Nice. Yeah, this is cool.
Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Your body in the ground. I bet the worms are going to town. Just bones by now. I don't wanna think about it.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna also try just something that I know and use quite a lot for comparison.
Make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Sentimental, defies his mom and dad. Just died, it's been a little. I don't wanna talk about it. Your clothes in my bedroom. You lie like you're getting paid. Then ask is what it is. Just what's in my bedroom. You lie like you're getting paid. Defies his mom and dad. Just died. It's been a little. I don't wanna talk about it. Your clothes in my bedroom.
Still, we're going for obviously like a darker vocal. I want a little bit more top end, like not a ton.
Four eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad.
Just for kind of intelligibility more than anything.
Four eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad. Just died, it's been a little. I don't.
Sounds a little bit muffled.
Four eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad.
Like we still have the same tone. Is that too bright for you?
Four eyes, sentimental.
Honestly, maybe a little dull.
Huh?
Maybe a little dull, if anything, actually.
Four eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad. Just died, it's been a little. I don't wanna let's talk about it. So don't ask me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Curve like a real go-getter. We say you can. Break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Your body in the. But when it gets cold outside, I got just bones by now. 4 eyes, sentimental devices. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing my body to love. It is what it is.
Try cutting that.
Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb.
Like bass and vocals.
Yeah.
And we haven't even EQ'd the bass.
Well, I don't know it.
Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse.
We're already cutting it a ton.
Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is, and like a little girl cries in my face. So a monster was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Is what it is.
And the snare as well. We're already cutting it. I guess that's like quite a.
Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break.
Sorry?
BGVs maybe?
Yeah, I think everything. I'm gonna cut a little bit on the drum bus, so we also scoop it a bit out of the kick. Yeah, that's really helping. BVs, I think we're already cutting it a lot. We could do more.
Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this. My sweater is what it is.
That has really cleaned it up.
Yep.
Nothing I do is gonna make a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I'm holding my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is.
Let's go back a bit, and I think we'll have a break soon, and then come back and do kind of like listen through.
TV, drive around, walk your
Let's grab that.
3 notes is all that made it.
TV, drive around, walk your dog straight to the pound. Bad dreams get loud every time. Get loud every TV, drive around.
That's kind of got like a Bit of a resonance.
TV, drive around. Walk.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
It's probably meant to be even slightly more subtle.
Yep.
TV, drive around. Walk your dog straight to the pound. Bad dreams get loud every time I think about it. So don't make.
Just copy soothe onto that as well.
Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it. So don't make me. Nothing I say it. So don't make me.
That needs, did I do the processing? Yeah, I did do it on the bus, but let's just grab this.
So don't make me.
Oh, it's already got a ton of reverb. So you probably don't need that then.
So don't make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better.
Let's kind of move into that phase of like
Automation.
finishing touches, automation. I mean, we still don't have delay on the vocals. Let's do the vocal delay, then we'll go to the next verse. So we'll get like a bit of a slap back, like very, very subtle.
Ask me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is.
Everyone know this technique? Slap back, so slightly different time on the left and right. So on the left I've got 148 milliseconds, on the right 188. Anything like around 100 is fine really. And then like zero feedback, so it's not like echoing, it's just like one slap back. And then we can blend that in.
Ask me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater is what it is, just
It
what.
just gives a sense of space without like a noticeable tail. I mean, it might not even work. I'll try it in a second in the context of the mix, but we've already got quite a lot of reverb on it, so we might not need this, but I'm gonna try it. If you're trying to avoid reverb and keep the vocal very front and center in like a pop track or something, that's where this is really handy, because you don't smear it too much, push it back in the mix. You can keep it like really dry and in your face.
Ask me. Nothing I say is
We'll be able to hear it more in the verse.
4 eyes, sentimental. Defies his mom and dad. Just died, it's been a little. I don't wanna talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure we even need it. This time let's do like a bit of an echo, which we do want feedback on. So there's like a couple of repetitions, not too much. Because if the feedback's really high, then it's just like kind of taking up a bunch of space in the mix. Like a couple of repetitions, we just want kind of to hear that like echo effect, like 2, maybe 3.
4 eyes, sentimental. Defies. 4 eyes, sentimental. Defy. 4 eyes.
So it might be a bit much.
4 eyes.
That's fine.
4 eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad. Just died, it's been a little, I don't wanna talk about it. You're close in my bedroom, you lie like you're getting paid. Then ask if I regret you, I don't wanna talk about it. So don't ask me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better, nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real it is what first week ever, nothing I change gonna.
So this is just the delay on its own.
4 eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad.
But it's not meant to be like this cheesy echo effect that you might hear on like pop music and stuff. It's just like tucked underneath.
Right. Yeah, just providing that little bit of pillow.
Yep, bit of space, bit of like, again, it's just something we're kind of like used to hearing.
4 eyes, sentimental, defies his mom and dad. Just died, it's been a little, I don't wanna talk about it. You're close in my bedroom, you lie like you're getting paid. Then ask if I regret you, I don't wanna make it work. Get better, nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Take care, just a tickle getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst.
I might actually dull the transient a little bit on the snare.
Yep.
My bedroom, you lie like you're getting paid. Then ask if I regret you, I don't wanna talk about it.
So it's like the opposite of how I normally process snares. It works.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, yeah.
What it is what it is. Ever, nothing I change. Holding my heart in a
Still find those guitars quite harsh.
Four eyes, sentimental, defies his mom. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. Nothing I say is gonna. It's just what it is. Your body in the
I was worried that I'm being too heavy-handed with the guitars. This is before.
cloud. Every is last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I
This is with.
changes. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break.
I think we almost need to add back in, so, yeah, clariphonic. This band here is normally quite good for like upper mid aggression, but in a way that's like really nice.
Last week what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I changed. Last week, think about it. So don't make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. Is what it is. TV, drive around. Is what
I think this is where I'm going to start thinking about just kind of, we've done as much as we can on individual channels. There's still some kind of like broad tonal stuff. So now this is where I'm going to start reaching for more kind of like mix bus processing, or you could think of it as like mastering already, like in the project, just to kind of do another layer of addressing some of those issues. So for that, I can use massive, passive, is that it?
It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is.
Might be getting two scoops now, like two kind of hi-fi or
Just smiley face.
yeah, two smiley face.
It is what it is. Getting easier, am I just getting what's the worst week ever? Nothing had changed, but I'm just getting sober. I feel a little sleep in my sweater. Is what it is. Not a comfortable creature. Getting easier. Is what it is. Is what last week.
And you can hear the variation though within the references. It's not like we're way out. So it's just, I guess, preference at this point.
It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing.
And the best clue is going to be the demo, because one of the band members mixed it.
It is what word is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Together. It is what it is what it is. It is just what it is.
No electric guitars in the demo.
It is what get better. Nothing I do is gonna.
It's like a different song.
Yeah, they wrote them all right there. I mean,
Yeah, it's very different. I haven't downloaded any of their other tracks, but we can just have another listen in Tidal.
Is it in my head, spinning on a cloud? There's I had the truth.
I mean, that's pretty scooped. And this is their track that's got like nearly 1 million streams.
It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna.
Okay, let's do a listen through. Any thoughts, questions, anything you guys are hearing? Anything?
I was just saying that I think this one is a little bit brighter than like their older stuff, but not like
Right.
annoyingly bright. You know?
Right. But it's something to consider, like is it a bit too bright or not? Like after everything we were kind of talking about earlier.
Because they wanted dark.
They said dark?
Yeah.
Then yeah, we might be a bit bright.
It is what it is what
where we need to be careful with, like something like the massive. When you cut the highs, it boosts just below it, but we're also cutting there. So if we want to do that, actually, a good tool for this could be, did I download it? HiFout, yeah. Like a high frequency limiter, or this is called an acceleration limiter. It's a process that used to be done in mastering for vinyl. And it's called an acceleration limiter because it's looking for instances where it's like a big increase in volume really quickly, like it accelerates, because that's what could cause the needle to jump out. So it's that, and it's also kind of the way it does that is like high frequency focused. So there are other tools like the SSL Fusion has like the high frequency compressor and that kind of stuff, or like de-essing, but this is quite a unique way of approaching that. I've been meaning to try it out. Kevin said it's great, so we could give it a go here.
Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. It's what it is, just what it is. It's what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse.
That's great. It's like smoothing it out, but it's dealing with the transients and smoothing it out there, but it's also accomplishing what we were kind of looking at with like a higher frequency boost just on an EQ, but in a way that's obviously more dynamic and source dependent.
It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is.
Helping on the guitars as well. We could also try a little bit of de-essing. I mean, I'm basically mastering at this point. Let's see.
It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. It's what it is, just what it is.
That's bringing out the low end more. So let's check that. And we could switch to the mains as well.
It is what it is what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Just getting older. Am I just getting sleepier? I'm just getting sober. I feel a little sleazy. It's just what it is. It's what it is. I'm just getting older. Was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. Beer, I'm just getting so smiling on my face. Living in the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break. Can't trust the TV. Cottage.
Yeah, I mean, we're like more than some, less than others, but that means we're kind of, we're not way off.
Smiling on my face. Living what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Holding my heart in a hole in my sweater. It's what it is, just what it is. It's what it is, just what it is. It's what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing
Check those toms there.
what it is, just what it is. Last week was
We can hear those more in the the bus than the actual close mics.
And I hold my sweater. It's just what it is. It's what it is. Just what it is. It's what it is. Just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed. Gonna in my heart and I hold my sweater. It's what it is. Just what it is.
Okay, so in terms of time, if I was at home, I'd probably come back to this in a few hours or tomorrow, do a listen through, write kind of like more things that need fixing. And then I would send it off basically mastered, just like with a limiter on it, to the client, see what notes they have. There's a couple more things we can do here to kind of get over the finish line. A little bit more kind of like tape emulation on the mix bus. Maybe some kind of bass control and like stereo width and like some of the stuff that you can do in Ozone. And bass lane I really like by Tone Projects. Multiband compression, there's like a bunch of stuff. I mean, I could just do it quickly so you can see. And we can just kind of get closer to that finished sound. And this is all just like enhancement, basically, just like little sweetening things.
It's just what it is, what it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I hold my sweater. It's what it is, it's what it is. It's what it is, it's what it is. It's what it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I hold my
It's almost like too much. Again, we don't want to go too far with this. Something that can add energy in a nice way.
It is what it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I hold my sweater. It's what it is, it's what it is. It's what it is, it's what it is. It's what it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever.
Rounding it out a bit in a way that's nice and kind of, again, like kind of smoothing it out. And then we can get some limiting on this.
Now, did you put that on the master bus or?
Yeah, I'm just putting all of this on my out. We've already got some saturation, so I could do like tape emulation, that kind of stuff, but we've already dialed in some odd harmonics on the compressor, which is what tape is like odd harmonics. Tube is even.
It is what it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I hold my sweater. It's what it is, it's what it is.
So now we can do some multiband limiting. And my approach to limiting is just generally to have like 2, 3, sometimes even 4 limiters, just shaving off a little bit each, all doing something different. If you just use the same limiter 4 times, it's like there's not much point. But this is multiband limiting, then you can do like mid-side limiting, you can do stereo limiting, then you can do true peak limiting, and each one's doing something slightly different, and each one doing like half a dB or a dB all together, I find sounds more transparent.
It is what it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding my heart and I hold my sweater. It's what it is, it's what it is. It's what it is, it's what it is.
So if I auto gain it,
What it is, it's what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Holding
pretty subtle because I'm only doing like a dB. then let's just put it through ozone. And this is where we can do it in the projects and then go back. If it messes with our balance, we can go back and like play around with that a little bit.
It is what it is what it is. This week was the worst week ever. Nothing had changed, gonna break this curse. Hole in my heart and a hole in my sweater. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Is what it is, just what it is. Last week was the worst week ever. Walk your dog straight to the pound.
We're now just gonna listen to the balance.
Dreams get loud every time I think about it. So don't make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Do it.
So it got a bit choked there when that came in. Let's check.
Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do. Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Do it on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is.
We're at minus 9. I mean, we're above minus 9 already, and I'm really not pushing these. So we're at like basically a mastered level, and yeah, there's something going on there with that hit a little bit. It brought out some of the kind of pokier elements, like the acoustic now sounds a little bit louder.
Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Do it on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is.
Snare's a little bit quiet now.
Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Nothing I do is gonna make it worse. Do it on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what it is. That's what it is, just what it is. Is what curb like a real go-getter.
So I'm going to turn this down to minus 6 so that we can volume match to this, which isn't mastered. So otherwise, reference is going to try and push it too hard and it's going to clip. But now it should be able to level match them.
Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Last week was the worst week ever. Nothing acted on the curb like a real go-getter. It is what it is what make it better. Nothing I do is ever. Nothing I change gonna break this curse. Pulling speed up on my shame. Calling out in grace. What it is. I got nobody to love. Is what it is, just what it is.
Oh. Yeah, and I think at this point, unless I go have a break, there's not much more I can do, and I'll probably get home and be like, oh God, I need to fix this, and this. But I'm like, it's like 90% of the way there. There's probably like more details, if I had a bit more time, like going through the whole track, making sure everything's, you know, at the right place constantly, a little bit more automation. Guitars, still not like perfectly happy with. Vocals sounding much better. Yeah, anything you guys are hearing?
I like how smooth the top end is now. Like it's
Yeah.
still like a little bit brighter than the reference,
Yep.
but not in a way that comes off as like too shrill.
Too polished, yeah, or
Yeah.
too shrill.
And when you play back the references, it sounded like perfectly like aligned with them.
Cool, that's good.
I think that the main difference I hear from the demo to this is that they were a little more loose, like a little more spacey. You know, I don't know if that was intentional or what exactly that was, but
The kick's much more forward. It's got more of a live feel to it.
yeah, it's more like
sure.
live. Yeah.
Definitely.
Make me. Nothing I say is good curve like a real go-getter. Was the worst week ever. Nothing
yeah, I like the live sound of that. It's kind of like the recording in the room, like kind of throwing faders up as we go kind of sound, which, you know, there's going kind of full circle now to what we were talking about earlier. There's definitely like merit in that. Like this I think is a little bit more, well, the mix that I've just done is like a little bit more like controlled or finished. But is it too controlled and finished? That's kind of down to the band to decide. But listening to their other stuff, it's like, it's not super lo-fi. And maybe we could go louder on the kick.
Make me. Nothing I say is gonna make it better. Last week was the worst week ever. Chewing on the curb like a real go-getter. In my heart and I'm hoping.
What do you hear?
No, it sounds great. No, I mean, it's definitely like it's like you're saying, it's more polished. Like it's more sounded really good.
This is great though. This sounds great. Like I like the live feel of what you did yesterday.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. We got to the end. Hope you had a good time.